James, you want to run through your list and your reasoning for this list?
Yes, of course. Okay, so it will be dropping today alongside the podcast. Just gotta get it up on our website. So if you want more, I'm not gonna speak as extensively as I do on the article, but yeah, go to moviegames.com, check it out. We've also recently done our favorite Christopher Nolan movies following Oppenheimer. So yeah, and every week we're going to be doing a list just covering our favorites of a certain piece of film. But yeah, so this one's it was a very, very hard list to do. And you will disagree with it. Everyone will disagree with it because, you know, this is not something that's, it's not about a director's filmography. It's not about a genre. It's about every film ever and the best endings to that film. So no one's going to agree completely, but I've tried to do it as best as I can here. The way I've sort of judged it is I've tried to incorporate stuff that I've had that's had quite big impact to me in terms of the endings and also what I believe to be the best as well. So I've tried to create some kind of synergy between those two elements. It was very, very hard to do. And I know there's, at least 50 to 100 movies that could be on a top 10 list for best ending because, yeah. But to me, an ending is I wouldn't say the most important part, but it's definitely one of the best or biggest moments that you need to have in your film because they can have such a huge impact on how you perceive the movie once it closes. So yeah, I think they're very important, and the movies that I say here are all considered absolute classics, except for one, which we'll get to because it's a bit early, but yeah, but so it just goes to show how important a film's ending is and how it can have such an impact on the viewer afterwards. But I'll start my list now. So at number 10, I got The Truman Show. Now, I don't know. Do you think, Nayan, do you think I should talk about the endings or because they are a bit spoilerific if I have to explain it?
As in spoilerific to your article or spoilerific to the movie?
No, spoilerific to the movie. So should I say what the ending is or should I just say why I like it?
All of these films, apart from one, two have come out within the last 10 years, so just go for it. If they haven't seen it at this point, it's on them.
All right, I'll just go for it as Nan puts it. Yeah, so we know at the Truman Show he discovers that he is not in realities in a TV show, and he tries to he has that courageous moment against the creator, and eventually, takes his final bow and steps out the door to freedom. And I think the ending, the whole movie, it just really it ties up the loose ends. It provokes thoughts and raises questions on how we perceive authenticity and how we seek, a deeper meaning in life that, is genuine and is authentic. So Truman Show, yeah, I think it's yeah, no, it's all about, yearning for genuine experiences, not kind of the digital experiences a lot of people are currently living these days. Nine is La La Land. This one, I think it's more about the impact it's had on me more than it being the top 10 greatest of all time. For La La Land, for me, I really loved um the thinking around what La La Land does, and it's pointing to the it's pointing to the balance between personal aspirations and romantic relationships. How much should you sacrifice? Do you give up on your dream to go for your dream, relationship? I find it very interesting. And the way La La Land does it, I think, is it's very powerful because it does show both realities. And it's just so bittersweet. We get to see what Sebastian and Mia could have had, but it just goes to show the complex choices and the trade-offs that we make between our own personal desires and romantic relationships. And I thought it did it really well. Next, 8 is Seven. We all know about Seven. Yeah, basically what John Doe does, his orchestration of all the murders and putting together the seven deadly sins, with the final one being wrath and Brad Pitt to commit that sin and the seventh murder. I thought it's just absolutely brilliant. There's a lot of commentary on the line between justice and vengeance. It also like goes through well, I think the ending really it provides a little bit of commentary on morality as well, and rationality. I think it just makes it very interesting. And yeah, the iconic what's in the box line is just it's always being repeated these days. Number 7, The Shawshank Redemption. The movie is a classic in cinematic history. But the ending for this one, I think it's a really heartwarming ending. It speaks to the power of a transformation, being able to redeem yourself, have a fresh start. It also speaks to hope and friendship. And I think it just concludes it really well, with Red's journey towards redemption. He follows Andy's instructions, and he, starts a new life. Yeah, it's all about, resilience, the potential for positive change. And it just leaves a sense of optimism despite, the challenges that we have in life. And a lot of these endings are actually quite tragic endings. So this one's one of the more positive ones. 6, I have Titanic. Now, Titanic might be a bit of a surprise to some people. I thought what it did is it may not have the type of social commentary or thought-provoking aspects as the others, but I think it beautifully sums up the movie in terms of shows the transcendent nature of Rose and Jack's love that they experienced on the Titanic. And it just kind of shows how powerful love can be despite some of the most tragic circumstances that have ever happened. And I think it just kept it off. It captivated what those characters went through and their connection together. I thought it just did a very, very good job. And the fact that I still know the ending, like almost frame for frame, just shows how memorable it was and how impactful it was. Number 5 is The Godfather. It concludes with that powerful scene of his wife Kay and how she confronts him about if he was involved in the murder of their brother-in-law. And he lies to her, and then he gets greeted as the Don. And it just kind of shows the complete transformation of that character and how where he is now. And it's the door closes on her, and you just see her reaction. I think it's just so good. It really just it shows like it just shows so much like nuance between these characters and the transformation that Michael's had. Just shows his descent into the world of organized crime. And it's just the door closing and the right shots. It's all a very powerful visual metaphor that underscores the entire themes that are at play in that scene. Number 4 is Inception. Inception's ending has been discussed massively, to the point where I think it's almost redundant, and I think Nolan himself has kind of stated that as well. Obviously, Inception has a beautiful orchestra backing it up through time, which, in my opinion, it is probably the greatest piece of music in film ever. But that's just my opinion. It is a very, 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 very tough accolade to get. But yeah, I think that time, the Hans Zimmer piece, and that backs this up completely and elevates it to a whole new level. It's just in terms of the best endings aspect to it. We know the spinning top thing. Did it fall? Did it not? Is he in reality or is he in a dream? I think the powerful part of it, or the part that I like, is that Cobb just doesn't care. And Nolan alluded to this. He's seeing his kids regardless, and I think it makes it powerful. But the really open-ended conclusion, I think it does encourage the viewers to understand and discuss this a little bit more, which is why Inception ending is still being talked about today. Number 3, I have Oppenheimer. Maybe a bit early for this. I get that. But I do think, 20 years from now, Oppenheimer will be looked at as a very, very powerful ending that is completely up there and one of the best. And if the world goes to nuclear warfare and it is the end, it will be the best ending of all time. Like you can't deny that because it showed what happened, and it was just, yeah. So there's potential for it to be the greatest movie of all time. I hope that doesn't happen because, yeah. But it really it ended with, a montage of the catastrophic consequences of nuclear warfare. It shows, just has a chilling commentary on the fragility of human civilization and how there needs to be a peaceful coexistence with such destructive weapons that are around because of Oppenheimer. So I think it beautifully capped off that movie while also showing the haunting nature of our world today rather than the world that it was in back then. And the timing of Oppenheimer couldn't have been better because we are kind of at that edge where, from that ending, it's a button away. It's a button away. That's the scary part about it. So number 2, I got Psycho, the 1960s movie. That movie is one of the greatest films of all time. We know this. Yeah, the shock ending is just crazy at the end. It's still discussed today. It exposes the psyche of Norman Bates and what the murder happened or what the murders were like. It reveals that he has a dissociative identity disorder and he assumes the identity of his mother who's dead, and that identity is the one that's doing these killings. I think it was a chilling portrayal on blurred lines between reality and illusion. I think it had a good exploration of mental health and the complexity of the human mind and really what the human mind is capable of. If the human mind is capable of being two people, I think it's really just a good exploration, and I think it's quite thought provoking when you really sit down and think about it. And I think the movie does a good job of making you think and putting you on the spot and making you think about these types of things. And I think that it's widely regarded as one of the best films of all time. And so what I think the best ending of all time is The Planet of the Apes, 1968. This ending has always been regarded as one of the best endings of all time. And it really just is. And it's very similar to the Oppenheimer one. It released in a very difficult time, and as such, it had, a really big, a very wide praise at that time because of what was happening and how it kind of alluded to that as well. But again, you might have seen the ending coming, but it doesn't diminish the effect of it. The camera pans to reveal the half-buried Statue of Liberty, which shows that, that the main character, he was on Earth the entire time. And, we thought he was traveling and he wasn't on Earth. So the revelation showed the consequences of human war, the potential for self-destruction there. And yeah, the ending really continues to resonate with people because that reality could come true. We could destroy ourselves, perhaps not apes take over the world or anything, but it can still happen. And the fact that this ending is one of the most discussed endings of all time, the ending quote, I've forgotten it. Oh, it's like, "You burned it, you bastard," something along those lines. I'm sure, Nayan, if you heard that quote, you would know exactly what it's from and where it's from. But yeah, just powerful stuff. But yeah, that is my top 10 or the top 10 film endings of all time. Again, it's from every movie ever. No one's going to get 100% right, but I think you can't dispute that all these movies have a great film ending. Well, what are your thoughts on my list?
I like the list. I like your number 1 and 2. It definitely deserves those spots. I thought Truman Show would be a hell of a lot higher. I thought that would be like top three, top five at least.
Oh, really?
Because of its impact in cinema.
Hmm.
You know, same with Shawshank, and I think Seven at Seven was robbed. Seven should have been at seven just for the meme.
I didn't think about that actually.
But no, same with Shawshank. I thought that should have been up there a bit higher.
Mm,
Oppenheimer having that high in like 6 weeks of it coming out is a bit ambitious. In
yeah.
the long run, it could be completely true, but for now, I'll have it in the bottom half of the 10 for me.
Hmm.
Inception, Godfather, and Titanic. I think they're perfectly fine with their own like that mid-table sort of area.
Yeah.
But there are a few films that I thought could have been considered just based on
Hmm.
the ending alone, like regardless
Yeah.
of the movie. I think
Hmm.
Furious 7 had a fantastic ending, you know, the tribute to Paul Walker and
Oh yeah.
everything about that, you know. I think
Hmm.
that was a fantastic ending for probably one of the best Fast and Furious films made so far.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe The Lion King as well, you know, because it's literally coming round full circle, and the whole theme of it is the circle of
Oh
life.
yeah. Hmm.
That as well. Um, Me personally, I probably have Interstellar in there just because it was like probably one of the only films to make me like tear up properly, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Uh-huh.
ending. So yeah, this whole list is very very good, but I think even anyone can agree that Planet of the Apes is should be number one. I mean, that
Yeah.
just like watching it first for the first time and like hearing people who've experienced it in theaters for the first time back in the
Mm,
60s. This
yeah.
was like the first ever like big major plot twist in cinema, like
Hmm.
broadly, you know, and
Yeah.
the fact that it's still being talked about today. The
Hmm.
shitty remake tried to do that with where Abraham Lincoln was Ape Lincoln. Ugh, they try to recapture that, but clearly didn't work out. But yeah,
Yeah.
the first Planet of the Apes, just the revelation that he's still on Earth and the
Mm,
Statue of Liberty is still there, and that the apes actually did take over. It's just like a holy shit sort of
yeah.
ending.
It was so good. A lot of these they were so much more impactful in their day and their time of release. Obviously Planet of the Apes hits a bit different now, but yeah, if I lived in the 1960s and watched that for the first time, I would have been like, oh my gosh, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Interstellar was considered. The Dark Knight was considered. Casablanca, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Um, yeah, those were some ones that were quite high for me. I didn't consider The Lion King. I didn't remember it until you mentioned, or I didn't remember the ending until you had mentioned it. What was the other one? Oh, Furious 7. Yeah,
Hmm.
Furious 7. That could be considered. It's just a lot of these movies, the ending makes or is part of a great film and they make the film better. Furious 7, the ending does make the film better, but it's not really part of a great film. So the ending's not as great as, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I also looked at something like Avengers Infinity War, um,
Yeah.
for how that ended. I think that was really, really strong. But again, the quality of the movie is all right. So the ending, um, it doesn't have the kind of impact and longing thoughts as these other movies do. Oppenheimer, I get it's premature and I will take that on the chin, but just wait 10 years, people, and you'll see I'm right. You'll see I'm right. I'm gonna bring this up in a potty 10 years from now. 2033, book it.
Mark me your diaries, ladies and gentlemen.
10 years from now.
If it's not,
Uh
you know where to find James. You can add him on there.
yeah. But yeah, remember to go onto moviegains.com. We have lists coming out once a week. So yeah, be sure to tune into that. Yeah.
Cool. Moving on is next topic is physical media, something that